A little excited.
Update. Today we started the digging for the foundation of the tower. We're working cooperatively or joined with the MEC to put in the tower. They're hitting a lot of ledge, so it's moving out a little bit further.
Surprise.
So, but that has started.
Borings, but we're unlucky with their borings.
They did borings and they didn't find the ledge?
That's correct.
It's a small pad.
No, it's not. It's a massive
It's
pad.
24 foot, isn't it?
It's 20, I think 7 by 26 and a half by 26 and a half.
Okay,
But it's
so it
also
wasn't too far off.
it's way down. Well,
Well, how far did they bore?
I wasn't involved with any of that.
Okay.
The areas that they bored came back beautiful. They just happened to miss the vein that's running right in the middle of where the pad needed to go, so they probably did the corners. So
Yeah, why would anyone want
I'm
to do
going
the
to be working with Gary Primo because I need to get the contract because it's not through us for the tower, but and how the MEC's going to handle the ledge and whatnot because we're working with them, but we can't afford to deal with all this ledge.
Dumb question. Granite's pretty hard, pretty solid, doesn't move. That can't be part of the foundation?
It can be if we want to wait about a month for them to re-engineer everything and submit it, and because it has to go through a whole process of if you're going to modify the pad. One thing we were thinking about today earlier was we could make the cement pad instead of being 18 inches, maybe make it 2 feet thick, which would then change your ballasting because it's all about ballasting. But that's not a quick, easy process. And at this point, we're looking to have other work happen, and we need to get that done. So we're moving the entire structure out a little bit. So what that means to us, what we might see until we have our final location, you have that hip wall that comes out. We might have to put a little jog on a fence and then go out, maybe a 6-foot jog on a fence and go out. It's in a grassy area. It's not really a big to do for us as far as aesthetics or anything. We're hoping to have it within 2 feet, so we might not even have to bump the entire
Building?
Got it. The building.
yes. There's only 3 piers that are going to be coming above
That's
grade.
not funny.
There's only 3 piers, so we're trying to make it so it doesn't affect anything visually for above grade. So there's a lot of progress happening at the building right now. They're spray foaming. There's
I
been
saw the list from Mike.
there's about 35 to 40 people on the site right now. It's a lot of progress is happening. We actually have some nice harmony going. Everybody's working together. It's really good. So we have that going for us. We're still having some coordination issues. The last of the back and forth hopefully was solved last night as far as the input that they needed to re-engineer a few items for plumbing and whatnot because of pitch. So it's working its way out right now. So we're having progress with that. We removed the asbestos that we had found. That should be a non-issue from now on.
In the ground.
They had buried
Pipe
asbestos.
in the back.
So
Out of sight, out of mind, whoever was there before.
You've been through that before, George, haven't you, with the King Philip project?
You would have never done that.
Well, that was in the building.
Oh, it was in the building? I thought there was buried stuff around. I don't know.
we found it, then we found more.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully
we feel confident
Do
that
we have to dig any more holes, or are we done?
we're digging more holes, and
Yeah.
there's
we're not
always a
done.
chance.
Yeah, we're not done.
And there's gonna be one final hole.
Yeah.
And that's where the plaque's going.
About 6
Oh, I
feet
think
deep.
they were burying somebody there.
Yeah, no, that's a.
So yeah, we've been having great progress. We had the solar company come out today and meet with the plumbing engineer or plumbing contractor because there was some coordination issues with them. We came up with a simple solution, should save us some money to accommodate the vents and the solar, so they all work together and maximize their solar capacity. We're also planning on going in front of the planning board next week, I believe it is,
About the
About-
panels on the
about
carports.
carports, and we are going to push for trying to do all 3. We have some renditions. I don't have them yet. They're supposed to be getting dropped off. I'm hoping to do that, but we're going to make provisions that if we don't get them approved, we're going to put the conduit in the ground while we have it all open. It's very short money, and we're already there. So if we ever change our minds, if we don't get it approved, we're going to have the capacity of not ripping everything up in the future.
Has anybody broached them informally about it? And
Yeah, I think
They went in front of them.
Rich went before him, right? Rich
Yes.
McCarthy. and
Was there-
They weren't.
They were not met. Was not met with enthusiasm.
Why?
My third party, my interpretation is they weren't thrilled with the design of them and how they looked, and they didn't want to have them blocking the building.
It's on the side over by the water
Well,
tower.
we're looking to do 3 carports in total. The one big one that we had asked for originally, but to try to get this building to run,
So this is the building.
this is the building.
This is the one Jim's talking about, right?
But there's also a smaller one on this side of the roadway. Here's the garage doors leaving. So one small there, and then there's a grassy area, and then there's more parking over here. There's another small one over here. We're looking to try to do 3 carports. This one's obviously the big one that's gonna produce the most. We're hoping to get 2 more in there. It'll help offset the cost of operating this building.
But if they're,
But from my interpretation, from what I understand, this one's not gonna be a problem, the major one, nor is the roof. It's just these 2 smaller ones.
okay, so wouldn't it make sense to concede the 2 smaller ones and get the big one anyway?
We're gonna go for the big one, but we're also gonna go for the 2 smaller ones too. And if we can't get all 3, we're gonna be,
Okay.
That one.
My point is, you're not gonna say, no, we're gonna get at least this,
we're gonna
hopefully.
do 2.
The building,
The big
the
one.
large
The
carport.
building and the large carport.
That's what we're proposing, and we're also proposing building a large carport and 2
They're
small.
inclined to support that, and you're gonna push for the other 2.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just, if we get all these, this is about 340,000 KW, 340 KW. The building generator that's supposed to handle the whole load of the building is 400, so theoretically, the solar
It's close.
could almost help run this building, almost, so,
Should at least do our,
would-
should easily do the police portion.
yes. And that's what we're hoping to do, and then make it so, because that's gonna create a lot of power. So the site work, we've hired a surveyor to, because we've been having some issues with listed reality. So we've been doing some survey work.
Say that again? What did you say? I have no idea what you just said.
We're doing, we have a surveyor assisting us with the site work.
Right.
The drain structures are not where they're listed elevation-wise on several of the items. There's been,
In other words, the as-built are not correct.
there were never any as-built, but they worked off the submittals, I guess. So we did have the property surveyed. I don't know the extent of all the surveying, but a lot of the manhole structures are not what they're supposed to be, so more expensive. But what we're trying to do is limit it. We're working, getting, site measurements, because we have to order drainage
It's all
structures.
around drainage?
All around drainage right now. Right now, we're moving forward. There are some big issues that we have to figure out. There's one manhole that's too big to move because it has 2 36-inch pipes going into it, but it's above the finished grade of this asphalt by a lot. So we're trying to figure out how to accommodate and move
You're
forward.
fine.
So we are working on that. Dave DeLuca, the town attorney, he's diligently working. I spoke to him last night about the procurement of the sewage rights. So it's not a quick, cut and dry, easy solution. So they have a person, a title person working on it as far as getting the rights for the lawyers have title people working on it, getting rights for the sewage. So that's going right now. Plaques, solar. So I might as well ask this one first. So we have like $150,000 budget allowance for 2 buildings for furniture. That's what the number was supposed to be. We're anticipating that the police station, based off, because we don't have actual pricing, but, is it Foxborough? Walpole.
Walpole.
Walpole PD, similar square footage, was about $100,000 for the furniture to outfit the building. We're assuming that we're similar size, it's a little newer, so it's just gonna be somewhere around there. We have, waiting for pricing back from, state vendors, one being the, W. Mason and one being the, Mass Corps, the prisoners. Mass Corps, we're anticipating between 75 and 100 on the furniture. So that might be a little bit more, but the fire station's smaller, so be it. One thing we haven't considered is the storage, the data store, or the evidence storage, the different product storage. There's, they need to have movable racks for all their evidence and all their files, and we don't have a budget for that. So they've had a company come in that Brian Humes has recommended to build their storage solutions and their cabinetry, and Chief can talk more about it if you're so interested.
What do we have now, John? What's in the current station?
Not much, just old metal file cabinets and, couple of cabinets with doors, just, yeah.
In other words,
nothing
it's not
that's
usable.
Gonna make a move, no. So they had spec'd out for the record storage, the rolling files, and then our evidence room would have a similar system that has sections that lock together. And then they would have, specific cabinets for drug and firearm storage that would be different. And then also our armory, right now is in our kitchen, lunchroom.
No
But
one
would
will
actually
steal
have a real
Pop-Tarts.
armory. With a cleaning area and they have some cabinets that are designed to store firearms.
So nothing is transferable.
Yeah, you basically have a slop sink area for an armory right now.
I'm not surprised. I mean, it's old. It's old stuff.
So, they have a estimate of $75,000 for this equipment to put in the storage. We don't have a line necessarily. Trying to figure out how you guys, what you wanna do about, do we authorize to do this? Do we do part of it? Do we, trying to figure out what to do, cause we need to order this stuff, cause there's really long lead times. Cause a lot of this is gonna be installed with the building and we want it before everything's finished. So, I believe, you know, the police department is trying to make it realistic so that it's something that can happen, but it's obviously costly.
We were supposed to have a reasonable estimate of the total cost of this at the end of April. Then we're supposed to have it at the end of May. It's mid-June. Are we there?
Nope, we are not. The coordination drawings still have not been finalized. I'd say all parties are involved are partially to blame. The last piece of the puzzle, I shouldn't tell you this, but threatened to have them removed from the job if they couldn't provide the coordination issues that they were having because we've been waiting for 5 weeks. I spoke to the owner of the company. He agreed that he needs to get those, and basically there's been some, not everybody's been working on the same page. There was conversations, there was site meetings, there was a established path that fell through. So at this point, as of yesterday, all the coordination drawings have been turned in. All the different issues have been turned in. They have to come up with a directive of how to move forward. Once we start having that in, we'll get even more subs in, and then nobody can give a price because we don't have everybody involved yet. And until you have everybody involved, as you know, when they come in, they start seeing things.
How, I'm not questioning the need, but I'm struggling with continuing to add significant costs. 75 grand is a lot of money when you've only got 150 in your budget,
Yes, sir.
without having any understanding of where we are in the cost.
We have,
I mean, you can't answer what you can't answer, but is there a date we can get within 5% estimate of the final cost?
not until we have everybody on the site working.
When will
Because
that be?
once the coordination drawings are done and they get the things that, they have to get the pipes up in the ceiling, there's still a fight over the elevation of the first floor corridor.
Okay, so when will that be?
Well, we've been pushing. I'm hoping by next week we have final coordination drawings. Once they have that, they have to order some more stock, so then it'll be probably 2-3 weeks before they start getting everything on site, so there'll probably be another 2-3 weeks to start having more, you know, findings. So you're probably a month and a half before you have everything that we need to have installed right now, that should have already been done. And then we're gonna have more people come in, and then we're gonna have it. So I wouldn't say we're gonna have a true firm grasp. I think it's getting much smaller because the big money things are involved, and they're in there.
Well, the more that's done, the gap narrows. I mean,
Sure.
but I don't know about you, Joe. I mean, I'm not questioning the need. I just don't know how we spend money we don't have if we don't know what we have. That's all. It's just, I mean, maybe
That's-
we have to find it someplace else.
That's our perplexing
I
issues.
mean, I don't, you can't write a check if there's nothing in the account.
That's
So,
where,
I don't know, you got a magic elixir for this?
No, magical, no. I mean, the only thing I thought of is, you know, if we know we need it. I mean, you can't have, you gotta have a file system, you gotta have a evidence storage system, so we know we gotta have it. So, the only thing I can think of is to go to town meeting in the fall and ask for those two items and just say, it wasn't in the, it wasn't, it should have been part of the project, it wasn't part of the project, and, we need to fund it, and,
How are the year-end books looking?
good, free cash came, the last update I got from free cash is it's gonna be over 700,000, so.
More than we thought.
That's, yeah, much higher than we thought, so, one bit of good news I got in my day.
But that's
That's
meaningful
more
good
than
news.
usual.
And we have 200 and some odd thousand left over?
We had 200,000, but we have about a $200,000 snow and
Oh,
ice deficit.
snow and ice
so-
deficit.
So that, but I think,
And we haven't spent any of the capital money. Is that included in the 700?
that's included in all that money. We have prison mitigation money that came in. That is not part of the free cash, so that's,
Which is for capital.
which is, has to be used for capital. So,
Would this be defined as capital?
oh, yeah, yeah.
One-time expense.
Yeah.
250 some odd thousand?
Well, that would offset.
But in the meantime, I think we need to give Matt the go-ahead to.
Yeah, but I mean,
Coordinate
as
that.
long as all I'm trying to get at, George, is there a source potentially of
Right.
how we fund
I
this?
understand that.
Once we get some kind of a number, and if we could use that prison mitigation money to offset some of this, that would make me feel much more comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. We'll have MSBA money coming back, but it's,
But
I
that, we got
doubt
a
it's
roof,
gonna
we
be
got a roof
received.
issue too.
We've
so-
got a roof issue, and I doubt the MSB money, unless they surprise me, they spend the next 2 weeks. We're not gonna get it until after July 1st, which means we won't be able to spend it until it goes through the certification process.
Just an FYI in that is the MSBA has given a preliminary outlook that they believe that they're gonna approve our school project. But that's up to 2 years to do that after they approve it. But they do see
But
that there is a need.
if that money comes in after July 1, it'll be certified, we could do the project in the spring next year. Will it get through the winter?
The roof? Oh, yes. Well, we're keeping up with the leaks. It's just, every time you go up and fix a leak, you create another leak because the roof's so brittle. It's just one of those, it's just,
Or
it's.
will it make it?
Yes, yes. Right
That's all
now,
Okay, it'll make it. So we could use, the short answer, so we could use the SBA money, SBAB money, plus what we're getting back. Well, the state aid, plus what
Right.
we're getting back. And if I remember, that pretty much covered the roof.
the MSBA money, I would imagine, should cover the roof, our portion of it alone. I think we're getting back 900.
That was
Close to 900,
That was the estimate
right.
that I.
And we actually, completely off topic, I had a $100,000 grant from the state. We wanted to redo the cupolas because that wasn't going to be part of the MSBA funding because they're only going to do a roof. We figured that was going to be about $85,000 to do that. They came back at $350.
Close.
So, one thing I'm trying to do, this is completely going off topic, but I don't want to give back the grants. We have $85,000.
Make sure Todd doesn't resign, will you please?
We have basically $85,000 available right now because I had designer services spec it out, and then we had them do some more. So we have 87. One thing we're going to do is the
Okay.
addition on that roof. The addition on the school does not qualify. So what I was going to try to do is just buy materials for that roof. So when it does go, the town will have one less expense.
Yeah, the cupolas.
Damn 'em.
So, if we used 100,000 of prison mitigation money, we'd be back on budget with the fire station and I'm assuming 40% of that cost for fire, because it's smaller.
Yes, because we had a
So if we got
150.
100,000
so
to supplement the,
Right. I
yeah,
would
supplement
think,
the
yes.
furniture. and
Those
the-
numbers
but
would,
the only-
those numbers would work.
Yeah.
They're not going to be buying office furniture as much, but they will have to buy living quarters
No, I
stuff,
know,
which
but
is short,
of course they
shorter
will.
money. Yeah.
All right, so if we remembered to earmark 100 of that prison mitigation
capital,
money
yeah.
for this project, those numbers will work.
All right, so go ahead and move forward with ordering.
Right.
Okay.
You need a motion and a vote?
Yes, sir, that's why I'm not in charge. could I make a motion to, actually, would you mind making the motion so you can word it properly?
Well, you're asking a lot.
Well, you don't wanna go out and get,
I move to authorize the bidding of office equipment for the police station, as well as storage equipment, storage facilities, whatever is that, what is the right word for that? Storage facilities?
storage for evidence and.
Storage for evidence and
And file system.
Files and cruiser
file
equipment types,
systems.
basic shelving units, stuff too.
You're getting estimates, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So it probably get a change order, right?
No, we'd probably shop it direct and not pay.
Okay.
We're trying to avoid doing any change orders
Would
because
be
there's
better if we
overhead.
could shop
Okay.
it direct.
And
I was
Mr.
just thinking
Mr.
about a
Crest,
future vote.
Mr. Crest has been very helpful. He's letting us direct pay for things
So
instead
you
of,
just need 3 quotes, right?
or we just buy off a state vendor. We can, if
Oh,
they're,
okay.
as long as they're a state vendor, but I'm finding state vendors, you still want to do your homework. They're,
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, we have a motion, and a second.
I'll second.
You made the
No, I
motion.
can't, I made the motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll give you-
All
I'll
in
get you a
favor?
flow chart so
Aye.
that they understand these things a little.
aye.
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 All right.
Unanimous.
3 more things and we're out of here.
All right.
We have to approve a payment number 12 for 431,728.37. It was approved by the architect after much debate. They had to adjust some of what the subs had requested for percentages. Mr. Humes felt comfortable with the 431,728.37, so I make a motion to pay application number 12,
To BC Construction.
BC Construction.
Second.
Are you okay with it?
Yes.
Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
You can't have one opposed, we can't get the vote,
All
right?
right, we're almost there. There's still some back and forth on just the sprinkler system for the
Nice.
pre-action.
I thought we were
I
going.
thought we resolved that.
This is a different issue.
This is now a design
Similar
issue.
but different.
We're gonna have a third party, after talking to Chief Cole and Mr. Bullock, I'm gonna send this down to a third party that the town's used before to confirm the numbers, because they're designing a section of the piping that there's supposed to be a safety factor built in, so that way if there's any pressures, issues going on with your water system, which like right now where we have a tank being serviced, so it's offline. You're supposed to have a safety factor in there in case something's going on. It's supposed to be minimum of 10%. Right now they're at 9.8. The design engineer instructed the sprinkler engineer that's contracted to, who's doing the work, K&M Engineering, K&M Fire Protection. The guy that's the company that's doing the work, he didn't feel very comfortable pushing it below the safety threshold. Talked to Chief Cole. He was uncomfortable unless we had it backed up and double checked. And I talked to Bob Bullock, and he also felt that we should definitely make sure the number works, because what will happen is we've based all this last summer, and the readings were really low from my understanding, and this is not, I'm truly not totally versed in all this. Readings were marginal at best. So we've been worried about, that's why we couldn't use that 2-inch
When you say
line.
readings, you're talking about the flow and the pressure.
The flow rates and the pressures. That's why we had to go up to the 4-inch line, because we needed the volume, because we didn't have the pressure. Well, now we're gonna take away some of the volume for a fire suppression thing, and that's for the mech again. It's borderline, so we're gonna have a third party, and run the numbers that Cole knows and has done a lot of work for the town, just to make sure that we feel comfortable, because the worst thing that's gonna happen is if it doesn't pass its flow, we're gonna have to rip everything out, and we're not gonna know that for a while. So we're gonna spend a little bit of money now, have it verified, just rerun the numbers. If they give a blessing, we'll be on board. If they don't, we're gonna have to ask them to go back to the 6-inch, which we know works, and I prefer to have that, but.
So is the whole issue flow around the size of the pipe?
The volume of water that can be delivered, and the problem is it's trying to skate through the roof, and there's not enough room for hangers, because the pipe itself is 6-inch pipe, so it's
I
like
remember
6
that.
3/4. It still hasn't been able to, so the way
They
they,
reduce it to a 4-inch to get over a couple of beams.
And that's the problem.
that's the problem, and now they're reducing it, so we already know we have water volume issues, so we're gonna make it worse, so we just don't wanna have something, if it's showing best case scenario, below this recommended safety, I don't know if it's recommended or, it's an NFPA rule, this is beyond my wheelhouse, that it's supposed to be 10%. It's under 10%, so we just wanna verify that this will work, so I'm gonna, before they do any work. So that's happening.
Can I ask, George, maybe you, if this is a dumb question, you could quickly tell me? But if you've got a pipe that big, and you're gonna bring it down into a pipe that big,
Carpenter question?
okay?
This is the carpenter question.
Huh?
This is a
It's
repeat,
Is
some
it-
other
is it-
smart person asked
and
this
because
question.
you gotta go over something,
Right.
and then you go back out again.
Right.
Okay. Is it theoretically impossible, and does it change if you did two smaller?
I like the way he thinks.
He is a good thinker.
Cross, and then bring them back in? Doesn't that keep the flow the same?
The volume inside of a 6-inch pipe and the volume inside of, say, 2 3-inch pipes are completely way off. It's way
Well,
different.
of course they're different, but
But-
if you've got the same amount of, if you've got the same amount of water, I mean, I'd have to
Right.
go back to my physics 101 on this, but isn't there a, first, you're not going from 6 to 3, you're going from 6 to 4.
All you do is you figure.
So if you
Or
had two
twin it.
4s,
Right.
so if you had two 4s going over that area, doesn't that compensate for that?
No, not quite, because 2 4s, just, there's a formula.
So
it's like
4
0.78.
3s, basically
If you-
4
if
I
you
know
threes
it
is equal.
decreases. I know it
Well,
decreases.
2 4s, that's 16 inches in, area, so that's 32 inches. 1 6-inch is 36 inches.
So-
2 4s does not equal.
So I think
1
wouldn't
6.
wouldn't 4 3s equal 1 6 kind of a,
Can you do that? I'm just,
No, well, we're gonna just
That's a lot
run to
of
make
work.
sure the numbers work. If they don't work, they're gonna have to just drop the thing,
Right.
and we'll have to deal with the lower part of the ceiling. It's just one of those. It's more of aesthetics that they don't
Right.
want the ceiling too low. That's what it's
Right.
coming down to. But
Yeah.
if we need the functionality, we need the
where is
functionality.
this, John, or where, is this in the
It's in the
mech?
mech.
In the
It's in the
mech,
finished area of the mech, with
in
their
the main
cloud.
room?
so
Yes.
you could box it if you had to,
Well, it's,
or just lower the ceiling?
no, because they have that cloud suspended ceiling that's on a full. It's not like this. It's gonna have like shapes on it, so they're different levels, and it's just gonna be in the way. It's just a coordination. We're gonna get to the bottom of it,
And
and
a lot of sprinkler systems, the pipes are exposed.
I was gonna ask that too. Why can't it be
because it's
exposed?
in the way.
In the way of what?
There are there's ceilings and
What's it in the way of? Is there somebody 10'7" that's in the office? I mean, what is it in the way?
I think the room itself is low anyway,
Oh, that's all right.
and now we're gonna make it even lower. So then they want to have it. I think it's gonna go down to, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think it's like 6'8" if we put it too low, which will be a problem for you tall guys, I guess. I'll be okay.
I'll be okay.
You'll be okay.
Yeah, that reduced.
So can't you put in the union contract a height requirement or something? I mean, I don't mean to be funny or facetious,
no.
but, you know.
We just want to
Isn't
make
there a
sure it's
simple-
done right.
I
Keep it
want
simple,
a
stupid?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, stupid. I mean,
One suggestion, which would be beautiful, that Deputy Chief, why couldn't we just put it right through the middle of the beam, which could be done, but then we'd have
Structural
to
engineers got to.
Yeah.
sign off on it, and that's a
Really,
cost.
They're not anxious to
drill a hole in the beam?
drill a hole in the beam, especially on
I can
a
understand that.
prefab type building like this.
Yeah,
So-
and with solar and everything else on it. I understand that.
So there's a lot of effort going into the solution on it, and if the guy that the town's used before feels okay with it, so be it. And then that way, the fire chief and the building commissioner, they have positive data.
But we don't want to compromise anything.
We don't,
No.
and that's why we want to just, I don't think it's gonna be more than a few hour, all he's doing is rerunning the numbers, and if he
No,
feels
that's
comfortable.
fine.
So I think that's, hopefully, that, if
It's
it works,
just
it
that
works.
If there
Right.
is a modification that has to be made, hypothetically, if it doesn't work, simple, whatever is the simplest, easiest, least expensive way to do this, aesthetics aside.
Well, that's.
Just
we're-
my
we're-
2 cents worth.
We're
Well, I-
truly trying. We modified the roof for the plumbing and the solar, keeping things in line, trying to keep things cost down, but still be, we're trying our damnedest to keep this in line. All right, last thing, the MEC board has asked the town of Norfolk to use Mr. Bullock as their OPM as well. I've talked to Mr. Dave DeLuca about having an intermunicipal agreement for them to be able to help offset some of our costs, because they're gonna pay for Mr. Bullock's fee to the town for for our services that we're providing. So it's gonna be very basic, but just letting you know and get some sort of income.
At some point, you were estimating $2,500 a month or something to that effect.
Felt that $100 an hour, between 20 and 25 hours per month is what we're gonna spend on their project, so figured $2,500 a month, and if it goes increasingly above it,
Obviously, Bob has agreed to that.
Yeah,
All right.
and as long as Matt does most of the work. I mean, Not kidding.
Yeah,
So,
Well, he made that clear from day one.
Yeah.
so,
And thank you, by the way.
but that's it. I will ask Cressy to come to the next meeting. He knows, they have a lot more conversations than I'm part of between the coordination, and there's more to, he's running the crews with the different jobs. There's more than I know as far as if he's gonna have any ideas of what's going on. They know about it first before it goes out in the print, so he's been extremely fair. He's been working with us. Like today, there was a fire engineer that had to get called in for fire stopping because it wasn't in the documents we found. So we called somebody in, and it's going to be another fee. Mike's like, if you want, I'll just give it to you guys. You pay direct. I'm not charging overhead profit, which he's been doing that a lot when we were having issues. He's been working with us, so that's been a good thing. As far as everybody's trying to make a bad situation better.
It seems like just the tenor of the meeting today was very positive. I mean, Mike and Brian can kind of chuckle about disagreements now. They're not, there's no,
That's a pleasant change.
it's in a good, yeah, we seem like we're in a good place.
We're truly trying to keep everybody, I've talked to Brian side, talked to Mike, everybody's trying to be very professional. And,
Welcome to a building project, Frank.
Yeah, no kidding.
but,
10 months late, but we're okay now.
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
I can't tell you how much more detail he gets into that.
Next meeting.
You want to do a month, or you want to do,
Or when is it meaningful to have a meeting, is a better way to say it.
So I've scheduled the next site meeting for 3 weeks, because 2 weeks would be July 3rd, and I didn't really want to.
good call.
So,
So July 10th is the next site meeting.
we have a Board of Selectmen's meeting that day.
You want to do them all back to back to back, so you have one night?
I might not get here till 4:15 or 4:30. That should be a little late. You could do it at 4:30, I could do it.
Not my call.
It's okay by me.
Good
It's
night.
okay by me.
So the 10th?
Yeah, and if anybody wants to go to the site meeting at 2, you're more than welcome to go to that, but Matt and I'll go.
So 4:30?
Okay.
Um, and probably take a tour sometime.
I went down yesterday.
Inside? Did you pay the admission fee?
Hmm?
Pay the admission fee at the door?
No.
We're trying anything to make money on this.
Told them my name was Jack Hathaway.
I'll put it on my account then.
Okay.
And Mike Judici, he had sent it to my old address, so I reached out to him again, and he did resign just because he hasn't been able to come. So we can ask the selectmen to, if we have somebody, to appoint somebody, otherwise we have 6.
Kind of late to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we could probably get by with 6 for now.
2 cents?
Sure.
Tell Mark. He's helping me with the budget stuff. He's gonna have a better grasp than anybody on how this is all affected. He might be a good person to have.
Not
On it.
adding his name to the plaque, though.
Big head. I would think he might be a very beneficial person to have on the committee, just for the fact that he can help answer some of these financial questions that are very relevant.
Okay
Does
by
he have
me.
the time?
Make the time. I'll ask him. I think he probably could. I mean, it's not he's gotta do that stuff anyway, so it's,
Put it on our agenda.
we can talk about it, yeah. Selectmen's meeting.
Good by me. Todd's done a terrific job.
He's very passionate about this town and cares about,
Yes, he is.
so
Yep.
as soon as I heard that.
Certainly better than North Attleboro.
You ever see our police station? On budget, beautiful. No, sorry. I had
Seen
to.
you- I've seen you.
I'm sorry, Mr.
I've
Liam.
seen your fields, that's all I can tell you.
That's it for me.
Okay. Adjourned.
Thank you very much.
How are you guys?